Welcome back to the GT350 garage. My name is Walter, and the engine is missing from my 1966 Shelby GT350. In this video, I'm going to show you how that happened. And we're going to follow the actual engine removal from start to finish, getting the engine up, out, and down. And the process is fairly straightforward, doesn't take a lot of time, but there's some things that I want to show you along the way, and you're going to see me do this process by myself. Now, before we go any further, there's something very important that I need to talk to you about, and that is safety. Okay? I've been doing this for 30 plus years. I am an ASE certified master technician. I've worked luxury brands, I've worked in fleets, I owned my own shop for a period of time, and I've done this for a long time. I've removed hundreds of engines, I've installed hundreds of engines, so this is not a new task to me. What this is a dangerous task that I've gotten very good at, and I want to share with you a couple of key things that you need to take care of as you're going to do this process. First thing is, make sure that the car, if you have it supported on jack stands, is firmly supported on some good heavy-duty jack stands. My jack stands came from Harbor Freight 20 years ago, okay? They're 6-ton jack stands. They work great, okay? I've never really had any issues with them. They're good, sturdy jack stands. Just make sure you're using good, sturdy jack stands, especially if you're going to have the car up in the air 18-20 inches. The next thing is, make sure that your floor jacks and your engine cranes and any other components that you're using for this process to remove the engine out of the car are in good working order. So your engine crane, the wheels should roll freely, the hydraulic cylinder should not be leaking, it should be able to hold weight in the air without leaking down and setting the weight down for any period of time, okay? Not that I'm suggesting leaving an engine up in the air, but I'm saying if you hold the engine 3 inches off the ground, it should stay 3 inches off the ground overnight. That way you know that the engine is, or the engine crane is in good working order and the hydraulics are in good shape. Secondary to that, you want to make sure that the chains and whatever you're using to pick the engine up with are in good working order. Now, if you're using one of the plates with the eyelets on the carburetor pad, that's fine. Those work okay, but I've noticed in my experience that if your chain's not long enough on your crane, they tend to cause you to end up with the arm of the crane interferes with the front of the engine. Especially on engines that have full dress still on them, like with the air conditioning and stuff, the bracketry kind of starts getting into the engine crane's arm, and that can lead to some challenges getting the engine up high enough to get it out of the vehicle. So make sure that whatever setup you're using, you can lift it high enough that things don't bind. If you're using chains, make sure that they are securely fastened to the engine. Make sure that the hook on the crane is capable of retaining those chains. There should be a safety catch on the hook. If there's not, well, there should be, okay? Make sure that the tools that you're using are up to the task, okay? Don't work with sketchy tools. I've seen some sketchy tools, all right? I've seen 3-legged engine cranes and some really wonky stuff, okay? I'm just putting this out there. You need to make sure that you do this with safety in mind, because 300 pounds of engine from 7 feet in the air falling on you or falling away from you is dangerous. If it falls on you, it can crush you and kill you. If it falls away from you, it can flip the engine crane into you and cause serious bodily harm to you or anyone else that might be helping you. So make sure you work safely. Now, I said anyone else that might be helping you. If you've never done this before, this is your first time tackling a big project like this, call a friend or two, get some help. Okay? I can't stress this enough, get some help. An extra couple sets of hands, some extra eyes to watch what's going on, to help you move things around are invaluable. Especially if it's the first or second time you've ever tackled a really big project. It's just going to make the project go a whole lot smoother. So with that, one final note. I've noticed that there are literally hundreds of you guys watching my videos and you're not subscribers. Why not? It's free. If you subscribe and you turn on the notifications, you'll see when the next videos come. After this video, you're going to see a whole bunch of really cool content on tearing down the engine. I can tell you, because I've already torn it down, that I find the problem with the engine and then some. So there's some really cool content coming, and notifications being turned on and being a subscriber will help you make sure that you don't miss any of that. So I would suggest subscribe, and with that, let's get started taking the engine out of the car, and here we go. So now we're getting ready to pull the engine out of the car. I've got the motor mount bolts loose. The engine crane is hooked up. You can see I've got the engine eye hooks here on the exhaust ports. I'm on number 2 and number 7. And this thing is actually free right now. It's fairly balanced on those 2 points. There's still a clutch and a flywheel on it. We've still got a water pump and a balancer on it. So the weight of the engine is relatively balanced. The engine should come straight up. So here we go.
Okay.
Okay, when you get an engine up like this, you want to make sure you keep your hands out from underneath the weight of the engine. The last thing you want is if this thing was to come loose, and I've never had it happen, but if it was to come loose, you definitely don't want any part of your body in the fall zone. So, keep your hands clear and avoid those potential pinch points where you could end up losing fingers, breaking hands, or worse. Now it's going to be a little precarious because I've got to have this up high in the air in order to get it over the car while the car is on jack stands. That just means we have to move slowly and be careful. So to do that, get my bucket out of the way. Okay, sometimes you get your engine crane bound up. Get a pry bar. And use a pry bar to move it. Take it slow. I've got big grooves in the concrete in my garage. So the pry bar is helping me get past that. As soon as I'm clear of the car, I want to get this weight down to a manageable level. And I am clear of the car. Or am I? Almost. There we go. I'm clear of the car. Slow and steady on this stuff, guys. Slow and steady. It's not a race. We're not in a hurry. Get the engine down to a nice manageable level. Get it over here in front of the car. Okay, so that wraps up the engine removal process from my 1966 Shelby. I hope some of the information I've shared in these videos has been useful for you. And with that, I thank you for watching. Again, keep in mind that if you're working on a project where you're dealing with heavy objects like transmissions or engines or even just rear end carriers, make sure you work safely. Make sure you support the car well. Make sure you use something to support heavy objects. Don't try and be He-Man and take it out by yourself. It's not in your best interest or, good health sometimes to try and muscle things in and out. That's how we see regularly people getting hurt and posting about it on Instagram and Facebook and even YouTube, where it's, I crushed my fingers, or I broke my hand, or I broke my arm, or worse. So in order to make sure that you don't have to take a trip to the ER every time you work on your car, just keep safety in the back of your mind and ask for help when you need it. With that, if you need any help in the way of suggestions or advice, leave a comment. I'm happy to answer. Reach out to me through Facebook or Instagram. The links are in the description below. You can also shoot me an email to the GT350garage@gmail.com. And I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon.